Again to Habitat for Humanity Women'sville for 2020. My name is John. I'm with Tukwila Lowe's. I got Lynn assisting as well from Tukwila Lowe's. We're going to do just a basic toilet refresh, remove, replace fixture. We'll just kind of walk through the basic steps that are actually needed to actually do a toilet replacement, and some of the key things that you want to check before you actually do your install to make sure things will apply to what you actually want to do on the install. So one of the things we want to talk about is on your shutoff valves. You always want to double check, make sure that you're able to turn your water source off. So by covering that, by turning the valves off, isolating that, holding the flush lever down, getting as much water out of the tank as possible, and then let up on that, see if any water is actually still coming back into the fixture itself. If it seems to be shut off and dry and no water coming in, usually pretty safe. So then at that point, I usually take an old towel or a rag or something, kind of set on the inside of the tank, disconnect your supply line from the bottom right down here. There's basically just a lock nut that unscrews from here, and this line comes off of the bottom of this. Double check the line. Always make sure that it doesn't look like it's possibly have been leaking or anything. We always encourage, anytime that you do a toilet replacement, replace the line. The valve looks like it's good shape, has been leaking or anything else, you're okay. If you have noticed that the valve is seating and weaving around the valve itself, you may want to consider replacing the valve. So there are some things that you can do. If that is something you do want to do, I would isolate that and take care of that first before you actually do your install. But if the valve looks like it's in good shape and you're ready to go, and it doesn't look like it's been leaking or anything, I'm going to kind of show us here how we take the tank off.
Yep.
And then always try to do this, and don't try to do everything in one piece. It's so much bulky and heavy to deal with. Do it in different pieces and do it in the same sequence as you do it. So as you take it apart, you're going to reassemble it in the same type of sequence as you go through.
So we're going to take this off first. And then there's bolts and nuts at in the bottom here. When you put your hand down here, you'll feel it. You just want to unscrew it.
Sometimes rocking it from one side to the other allows you to have a little bit of play from one side to the other.
Then we lift it up, and then we set it down. And then there's two bolts on the bottom of the toilet. You need to unscrew. You can either use the 7/16 open end wrench, like that, or you can use a crescent wrench. We are using our hands. So when you lift the toilet up,
try to keep it level as you kind of go up. Reason why is there's water still in this P-trap down below. You can get gel packs and basically put that in there. That actually swells up, so it basically keeps the water from running out of the fixture itself. So that's one particular way of doing it. The other thing is keeping it level and flat as you actually pick the fixture up. Sometimes if you have a tub surface or a bathtub nearby right there, it is fresh water that's in there, and just being able to pour the water, there's not going to be much. There may be about a cup worth of water that is down inside this trapway that's on the inside. Once you've done that, pretty much you want to take the fixture off. You want to double check this area right here. This is the most crucial part of the actual seal for the toilet itself. You want to make sure that there's no hidden damage or anything around the wax, or where the flange is, where the wax ring sits down onto. Double check. You want to replace the bolts every single time that you replace a fixture itself. So basically putting bolts down into it, it's like a little slotted keyway that's on the bottom there. And then I install the bolts and then tighten these lock nuts down onto there so the bolts are fixed in place. You want to make sure that they're straight across on your fixture and square it up. Basically, we're not going to actually put the wax ring on this particular, because it's just a mock-up model that's on here, but some people put the wax ring down first, some people put the wax ring on the bottom. I have actually found it easier to actually put the wax ring down on the surface.
Yep.
And then basically on a new toilet bowl, we're just gonna lift the bowl up, bring it over,
And it has holes for you to line up your bolts.
and don't push it all the way down. You're just gonna get it. And it's the easiest way to check is when you set a toilet bowl down in the new application, it shouldn't set right on the floor.
Right.
It should be lifted up just a little bit, and you should have to press the toilet down into place.
Because of the ring.
Right, it actually makes a compression seal so that wax spreads out on the underneath side. I usually try before I actually press everything down in place. So we'll go back and reassemble the actual tank assembly, putting our new tank, lining the bolt holes up with the holes that are on there.
Yep.
You have a center gasket that's like a
Your
flat
washer.
washer, and then you have the plastic lock nuts that they actually give you. And kind of work from one side to the other. So as you tighten one side up, you kind of press down on the other side, and you'll feel it kind of compress, kind of sandwiches it as it kind of pulls down into place.
Yeah, it's tightening.
So you want it just nice and snug. You don't want it so it's actually loose.
There we go.
Once you kind of determine that that's a nice snug fit, now at this point we can actually kind of press the toilet down into place. We can make sure this is nice and squared up with your wall surface that's here.
Yep.
That's lined up, and as long as that's all lined up and it's nice pressed down into place, it's squished down, you can tell it made a nice gasket seal that's on that. Now we can actually go back and put the lock nuts and reestablish that into place.
Yep, and then they'll be sticking out so you know exactly where the washer and the nut go. And you really want to make sure these are tight because when we sit on the toilet, we don't want our toilet to move.
Now, like I say, with a ratcheting wrench or a crescent wrench, you basically can go back and tighten those lock nuts up,
And then install the supply line that you took off the wall.
or sometimes out of the floor, because just depending on the application.
Yep.
Once that has actually been done, you know the bolts are all tight, the water line is actually on, everything looks squared up, you're happy with everything that's there, go back and turn your water on. The fill valve should be filling the tank back up, reaches a particular plateau, and it should shut itself right back off.
Yep.
Installing a new toilet seat, basically it has a lock nut on both sides.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of, they have little plastic caps that are on the top right here, you lift those up, has a little bolt that goes down through the middle of that, goes down in there, and you tighten those up, and you're good to
That's
go. If you want to put silicone or caulking around the fixture, go ahead and you can put a bead of that all the way around the mop or of the actual fixture,
Yep.
but always leave the back of the fixture open.
Yep.
But that's a basic of a
Toilet
removal, install
Yep.
of the actual fixture. It doesn't take real long.
Nope.
Takes a little bit of, just a little bit of figuring out, what you want to do. They make them in round bowls, they make them in elongated bowls, they make some that are comfort height, they make them in standard heights, and just depending on your preference, what you want to go with. That is the basics of
Right,
installing a.
and just remember that toilets are heavy. So if you can do it by yourself, that'd be great, but always try and have somebody
Exactly.
else help you.
Yeah, it's always good to get a partner to help you,
Yes.
give you a hand moving the fixture, and don't try to do everything in one piece.
No.
And take your time.
Mhm.
Just take your time, think out your project, and go from there. Most all your fixtures that are on the market these days are the most efficient of water savers that are toilets that are out there. So that's one of the things that you're trying to keep a mindset on, is having a good fixture that's strong flushing,
Yep.
uses less water, has a lot of benefits to
Okay.
that. So,
There you go. And that's how you replace a toilet.
thank you.